Voters in Atlanta's northern suburbs went to the polls today, a special election to fill the House seat vacated by Tom Price when he became President Trump's health secretary.
Hold it now. Thanks, Karen.
Karen Handel is the Republican candidate in a district as red as Georgia Clay. She should be coasting into Congress, but she's not.
I think everybody should watch me putting on my I voted sticker since my opponent can't do that today.
Her opponent, Democrat Jon Ossoff, could not vote for himself today.
Thanks for helping out.
Because he lives outside the district. The 30-year-old former congressional aide hopes to pull off the upset and turn this red district blue in what has become the most expensive congressional race in history.
This is a Fox News alert. The most expensive House race in history is ending with the Republican winning. Karen Handel is now projected to win Georgia's special election to fill the House seat vacated by HHS Secretary Tom Price, beating Democrat Jon Ossoff. National Democrats had high hopes for this race as a referendum on the Trump presidency.
This is CNN, home of fake news.
But the fact, David, that it was so close, at least it appeared in the polling, and then the results as well. The results are actually really close. What does this say about the state of affairs, especially the Trump? Is there a mandate for Donald Trump? Will he keep his support? Will it stay the same? Are Democrats looking at this as necessarily a loss? Or they got close and maybe there's hope for them in the midterms?
Well, I don't think there were moral victories here. I mean, I think that the Democrats lost this race. That is a loss. They went all in on it. And with all the energized base that they had, the small dollar donations, yes, they were running in a district whose DNA is a Republican district. So it was an uphill battle all along, but they lost. So
Larry, welcome to the program. The bigger picture in Georgia, what is the bigger picture in this race? What can you tell us about what the voters were looking for here?
Well, the bigger picture to me is that the 2018 congressional elections are a year and a half away, and a million things can happen that can change the picture. But for Democrats, obviously, it's pretty depressing. That's the word I've seen on Twitter.
Again, 4 Republican seats, 4 Republican members of Congress joined the Trump cabinet. The Republicans have held now all 4 of these seats, including Georgia 6, which is viewed as the most competitive. Close doesn't count. Are there things Democrats can find in every one of those races to say, hey, here's some hope for 2018? Hey, here's some lessons we can learn? Sure. But did they get any wins? No. And did they get a win in the place they targeted the most, spent all the money? Absolutely not. This is tough. This is district-wide here, the Atlanta suburbs, 52 to 48 at the count now.
Now, this has been a solid Republican district for many, many years, starting with Newt Gingrich to Johnny Isakson to Tom Price, and it was going to stay that way, and mainly because Karen Handel represented the views and values of the people of this district, and Asaf did not. He talked a good game. He talked as though he was a little bit more to the center, but in the end of the day, he was a stock and trade liberal. He supported climate change proposals. He supported minimum wage. He supported issues that just weren't reflective of this district.
That's so bad. Minimum wage and climate change. Oh, my goodness. Save the whales. It's so horrible.
I told you guys.
Well, I love hearing the Democrats talk about this because what they're basically saying is they want a participation trophy for coming in a good second. No. And the truth of the matter is, since Donald Trump got elected president, the Republicans in special elections are undefeated. And what's particularly interesting about this race is more than any of the others, this took on a national election. And Karen Handel was probably a couple points down a week ago, ends up winning by 5 points, not even that close. And I think that she actually picked up numbers because Republicans showed up and wanted to show that there was not buyer remorse in voting for Donald Trump or his agenda. So however you look at this, it was a good night for Republicans.
What's that
wait, I want to be clear that no one was, I want to be clear. This was not a referendum on Donald Trump as we would have liked for it to be. No, Karen Handel, as Margaret Hooper said, didn't even use Donald Trump's name on the stage tonight. What they ran on locally, but they talked about health care, they talked about the economy. Those were the issues that they talked about. And the Republicans, frankly, they attacked Jon Ossoff, and he didn't attack back. And where you just sometimes you got to fight back. So not to say that this is not an indication that everybody is just happy with Donald Trump. People are not happy with Donald Trump, but they are more so not happy with these Republican policies. And we need to be careful not to think that this special election is an indication of what's happening for 2018. There's real potential for Democrats in 2018.
Sure. Look, I tell you what. Let me tell you the real reason. Let me tell you the real reason why this race has gotten close. It's because national liberals, like my colleague here on the air, have supported Jon Ossoff to the tune of $25 million. 97% of the money that he's raised have not come from the state of Georgia. And Jon Ossoff doesn't actually live.
One at a time, please.
Jon Ossoff doesn't live in this district. Here's what this is really a sign of. This is not a referendum on the president. This is a sign that if you're a young person, a wealthy person, and you go work in Congress for 5 years, you can move back to a district and run if you get $25 million sent to you from being a part of the resistance campaign. Okay, and then you run without mentioning President
Mike,
Trump's
let me
name
jump in
once
here because we've got short time. Let me
try
jump in
and
here.
fool people in Georgia.
You
that
say
you're
that
some
it's
sort of
not important. It's not a
That's really
referendum.
why
Hold on, both of you. Both of you, please stop.
Let's
stop. Let's stop. Okay, let me tell you this, you guys. When I need to get in, let me in, or I'm going to end the segment. It doesn't do any good when both of you are talking over each other when you don't listen to the moderator. The people at home don't get anything out of it. I'm here to ask you questions and to moderate this because I'm trying to get some answers and I'm trying to help the people at home come to some understanding about what's going on. Okay, so will you please do that?
Sure.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Who the hell are they? They're only from Georgia. Oh, let me tell you something. I am so sick of Washington and all its works and all them politicians down there and them congressmen and the congressmen. Boy, I'll bet you won't find none of them congressmen turning down their electric blankets tonight. Because if they did, their secretaries would get up and go home. Oh, readers, the Democrats is doing the whole... The Democrats, and you put them in there. That's the face you had on you when you come back in the polls. Well, the Democrats' way of running this country is to go tell us all how we ought to make sacrifices. God, they're great on that stuff. But they're all going to have us over the hill to the poorhouse. We ain't going to be able to drive over there because we ain't got no gas, so we're going to have to walk it.
Oh, the Reader's Digest says walking is very good for you.
Oh, ain't that lovely? The Reader's Digest can always put a little joy into poverty.
What are you looking at? What are your takeaways this morning? And how much of it is just, does it come down to, as Pat Buchanan said, political athleticism, and what athlete fits the position that you're trying to get them to win?
This is an unmitigated disaster for the Democrats.
This should be a wake-up call for the Democratic Party, who has been doing nothing but losing since 2010 in these legislative races. And at some point, you know, I heard last night Asaf get off there saying, we've started something great. No, you lost. At some point, the time for moral victories is over, and sometimes winning is just about winning. They need to learn from this and figure out how to win next year.
What did happen to the Party of the People?
Yeah, well, they took one hell of a beating, didn't they? I mean, they've dwindled down to, a position of complete powerlessness on the national stage. So it's amazing how they've managed to do that, and it's largely self-inflicted. Of course, the Republicans have been the ones beating them, but yeah, the Democrats have. What happened is that, some years ago they decided they didn't want to be the party of the people anymore. They wanted to be something different. And this involved, it was an enormous transition in the Democratic Party all through the 70s, all through the 80s, all through the 90s, until they are what we see them as today. They are a party that represents a group of very affluent, white-collar professionals. That's who leads the party, that's who they speak for, that's whose issues they care about, and that's really who they are. And that's, to put it really, really, really bluntly, that kind of party just can't, people aren't interested. The general public is just, they're not excited about that.